"Can you tell Santa we moved?" said a little boy to the poor single mom's boss on Christmas night. Christmas night has a way of revealing truths people spend all year trying to hide. Under the glow of cheap streetlights and fading decorations, when the world slows just enough to breathe, the weight of loneliness, hope, and regret feels heavier than any wrapped gift. That night, outside a nearly empty office building dusted with cold wind and leftover tinsel, one small moment would quietly change several lives forever. If you believe that kindness still matters, that second chances are real, and that even the smallest voice can echo the loudest, take a second right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this survive only because people like you keep them alive. The building belonged to a mid-sized logistics company that prided itself on efficiency, discipline, and profit margins. Its owner, a man in his late 40s, had stayed late that Christmas night, not out of generosity or holiday spirit, but because silence was easier than going home. His life looked successful from the outside corner office, tailored coat, a luxury car waiting in the parking lot, but inside, everything felt hollow. Christmas had become another reminder of what money could not buy: warmth, connection, and forgiveness. Down on the ground floor, far from the executive offices, a single mother named Elena finished her shift as a cleaner. She had been working there for over 2 years, arriving before sunrise and leaving long after most people forgot the building existed. She worked quietly, never complained, and never asked for favors. Her paycheck barely covered rent, groceries, and utilities, but she stretched it with patience and prayer. That night, she had brought her 6-year-old son Matteo with her because she could not afford a babysitter and because Christmas left no room for extra expenses. Matteo sat on a folded jacket near the lobby, drawing shapes on fogged glass with his finger. He was smaller than most children his age, not because he was sick, but because life had asked him to grow up too fast. He understood hunger, understood why his mother skipped meals, and understood why some promises could not be kept. What he did not understand was why Christmas felt quieter every year. Earlier that day, Elena had tried to make things special. She wrapped a used toy car in old newspaper, cooked rice with a bit of chicken, and hung a single strand of lights around their tiny apartment window. But the landlord's note taped to the door changed everything. Rent had gone up. They had 2 weeks to move. Elena read the paper twice, then folded it neatly and put it in her pocket, deciding she would cry later, when Matteo was asleep. As the night deepened, snow began to fall, light and hesitant. The building's owner finally decided to leave, pulling on his coat and heading toward the elevator. When the doors opened, he saw the boy sitting on the floor and the woman mopping nearby. He recognized her face vaguely, the way people recognize furniture they pass every day without really seeing. He nodded politely and stepped forward, ready to continue on his way. That was when Matteo stood up. He walked toward the man slowly, holding something in his hand, a crumpled piece of red paper with a child's uneven handwriting, and a crooked drawing of a house. His voice was small but steady, filled with a seriousness far beyond his years. He explained that they were moving soon and asked if Santa could be told, because their old address would no longer work. The words landed heavier than any accusation. The man froze. In all his years of negotiating contracts and managing people, nothing had prepared him for that simple request. There was no anger in the boy's face, no demand, only concern. A child worried that magic might not find him anymore. Elena rushed over, embarrassed, apologizing with her eyes. Before her words, she explained that Matteo had been excited about Santa all evening and that she was sorry if he had disturbed him. The man shook his head slowly, his throat tight, and assured her it was fine. He knelt down, looked at the drawing and nodded, promising he would make sure Santa knew. When they left the building shortly after, Elena holding Mateo's hand as they disappeared into the cold night, the man remained standing there, staring at the empty lobby. The decorations suddenly looked cheap. The silence felt louder. For the first time in years, he felt ashamed of how little he knew about the people who kept his world running. That night, sleep did not come easily. He thought about the boy's words, about addresses and movement, about how fragile stability really was. He thought about how easily he signed papers that changed lives without ever meeting the people affected by them. Somewhere between midnight and dawn, something inside him shifted. The next morning, Christmas Day, he drove back to the office, ignoring messages and invitations. He asked security for Elena's file and learned more in 10 minutes than he had in 2 years. Widowed young, no family nearby, never late, never absent, no complaints. He learned that she had refused overtime pay once so another worker could take it. He learned that she had asked for nothing. He spent the rest of the day making calls. By evening, a small miracle was quietly in motion. 2 days later, Elena was called into the office. Her hands trembled as she walked upstairs, convinced she was about to lose the only job keeping her afloat. Mateo waited outside, clutching his toy car. When Elena returned, her face was wet with tears, but this time they were not tears of fear. Her rent increase had been covered for the next year. A modest apartment closer to Mateo's school had been arranged. Her salary was adjusted, and her position redefined with benefits. The company had also started a small fund for employees facing emergencies, funded anonymously. When Elena tried to thank him, words failed. The man only nodded, uncomfortable with gratitude, but deeply aware that he was the one who had been given a gift. Weeks passed, snow melted, life continued. But something lingered. The man began noticing people again. He learned names, he listened, he changed policies. Slowly, the building felt less like a machine and more like a place where humans existed. One evening in early January, a small envelope appeared on his desk. Inside was a drawing of a house, warmer and brighter than the first, with smoke rising from the chimney. On the back, in uneven letters, was a message explaining that Santa had found them, that the new house was nice, and that his mom smiled more now. The man sat alone in his office long after everyone left, holding that drawing like it was worth more than any contract he had ever signed. He realized then that success measured only in money was a lie he had told himself for years. Real wealth was knowing that you mattered to someone, that your choices could lift rather than crush. As the next Christmas approached, the building looked different, not because of better decorations, but because of the people inside it. Laughter echoed more often, help was offered more freely, and somewhere in a small apartment filled with mismatched furniture and honest warmth, a little boy slept peacefully, believing in magic not because of gifts, but because someone listened. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that compassion can change lives in ways money never will, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps stories like this reach the people who need them most. Before the story ends, we have one special request for you. Please comment below with a single word that represents what this story made you feel: hope, kindness, faith, or love. Your words matter more than you know. Because sometimes the greatest miracles of Christmas are not wrapped in paper or delivered down chimneys. Sometimes they come in the form of a child's quiet concern, a question asked without expectation, and a heart finally willing to listen.